Hi everyone and welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim, and this is episode 33 and a very, very special edition. We've been building it up for around, I think 6 weeks, Haydar. It's been 45 days.
45 days.
Yeah, and thanks everyone who's tuning in live on the live feed. So obviously we'll just go through the panel real quick. We've got Haydar, Hussein on the end, who is the Jim's Cleaning Group founder and divisional owner. We have next to him is Olmez, who is the CEO.
Not actually the founder, but the person who made Cleaning Group work. Before him it was a very little thing.
Founder sounds better. Founder sounds better. We've got Jim as well here, who's come out. So Jim's out at a meeting of franchisors here, so we'll whip the camera
Somewhere
around.
I've never been in, Broadmeadows. I've been to every capital in Australia, most of New Zealand, never been to Broadmeadows, so there you are.
So what we're going to do tonight, guys, real quickly, we're going to jump over into the scales and give you a bit of context. So Haydar, 6 weeks ago, we committed to a weight loss goal, and we'll talk about that as we go over there. And we probably once a week have been posting you in hypoxia, you've been in infrared saunas, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to see if you made your target weight tonight. We'll run over there in 1 minute. And the way it's going to work tonight, guys at home, thanks for tuning in, leaving questions and comments in the live feed. But we've got a lot of questions from franchisors and franchisees in the audience. I'm going to try and whip through these ones as priority, and we'll try and maybe squeeze a couple in. So let's go over there, Haydar, now, and we'll see what's going on. Okay, so look, before you step on, we've got stuff here. So the boys, Jake and Ben, done a great job creating this graphic here. It's sort of based on the Biggest Loser. Now, what was your target weight?
The target weight was 87.
Okay, so 6 kilos in 6 days, in 6 weeks, so it's a kilo a week.
Yep.
Now you had a few bumps the wrong way, tell me.
I did. Ali and I went to New Zealand, and that was a pretty hectic weekend, and we ended up eating pizza and Kentucky and stuff. That was pretty bad. And then my wife and I went to Sydney for 2 or 3 days, and all we seemed to do was just eat. So that was pretty bad. But besides that, I think I did pretty well. 3 days a week training, eating much better, drinking plenty of water. I think I've got this. In fact, I checked myself this morning, and I'm confident I have got it.
So we'll see there, but before we proceed, actually look at the socks you've got on here. So you've got Jim socks. Yes. So you can sell them online, right?
Yep, available through thecleanerschoice.com.au. There's plenty left, so get online.
One of our most liked social posts was the actual socks. I think it was you on the shoes, and we posted it. Was it Jamal? Yeah, that was probably one of our most liked ones. So without further ado, Haydar, jump on and we'll see if you made your weight. Ready to go? So watch the screen there. Whoa, you're blown up. There we go, 87 kilos. Thanks to the boys for doing the graphics. So we'll jump back down and we'll get into the questions.
12 weeks, you're back to 64.
So we'll jump back down here now and we'll get into it.
This is from...
Awesome. Thank you very much.
We'll get you guys in there. Well done, Haydar.
Thank you. Oh, that's what a relief.
Now, do you find that having that, like putting the squeeze in yourself, that was
Yes.
the main thing to help you?
Well, I've tried to lose weight many times, and this was obviously the first time I achieved my goal, and I attribute that to the accountability of it. So thanks to you, Joel, personally, and the people that supported me through this journey. Matt Kavanagh, who's in the room, Rachel Mounter, who rang me and SMS'd me regularly, and all the good messages I got along the way through Facebook and through my email, so thank you. It was hard work, but...
And you made a lot of little changes, a
lot of little changes.
Sort of stuff, and they all add up.
Yeah, definitely. All those little 1% has made a big difference. Changed the way I eat, our lunch. Most days it's always takeaway, kebabs and pizzas and stuff like that. So we've changed that a little bit. We have a lot of sandwiches type foods. I drink plenty of water. I used to miss out on drinking water. And even at home, watching TV and snacking all night was one of my biggest problems. So I've kind of given up on that. And I do a lot of activities now instead of just watching TV. And hopefully I've inspired a few others along the way. And I know I have because they've sent me messages, and that's a good feeling as well.
When you come in, we'll play squash.
For sure, for sure. I played Joel table tennis today.
Yeah, Haydar's really good.
Yes.
So I thought he was bluffing, but he's actually really, really good. And
thank you.
He's a good
Can
player.
he beat Archie?
I haven't played Archie yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Champion of the national.
Sure.
See how you go with him.
So we're going to line that up. So
awesome.
let's get into the questions here now. Well done, Haydar. So
thank you.
What happened before we had Mike, Jake, and a few of the boys went around and asked some questions from our franchisees and franchisors. So Ben will whip around the camera when we get them on there. So We're going to start off with the franchisor, and this will be Bill. Where is Bill? Oh, sorry.
Hey, Bill.
Jim, I've been in this now 18 or 19 years, and there's one thing that I can't understand, I can't answer, and the question is this. When franchisees are going really, really well, they love the pats on the back, the 4.9 stars, the recommendations, and so be it. But when things turn sour, they get complaints, the ratings drop, they can't pick up clients, it becomes a blame game. What do you suggest that is?
It's very difficult. I think the single biggest factor on whether a franchise is going to be successful is who they blame when things go wrong. And the simple thing is, good people will say, what can I do better? And the poor ones will say, it's your fault, I don't need to do anything. And because they say that, they'll never succeed. So I don't know how you do it. All you can do is encourage and coach and talk to them and be nice to them and just mentor them and try to make them, put them in your own positive image. I mean, I'm not saying I'm great at it either, but it's difficult. It's what we call a lead, Bill. It's the classic sign of failure is somebody who wants to blame anybody else for anything that goes wrong.
Do you guys want to add anything to that, Ali and Haydar?
We discussed this with Bill many times, but I always say it's case by case. Every franchisee has different, and there could be personal issues at home as well. So I always say treat it case by case, and sometimes their personal life does interfere with their business as well. So we often find that franchisees who are going through emotional distress or personal issues reflects on the business as well.
Okay. So we'll get to another question. Thanks for that one, Bill. So we'll get to another question here, and this will be from Eric from Mobile Cafe. So he was out there serving some nice lattes. He gave me, I reckon, 9 triple shots.
So Haydar, it's a two-part question. I'd like the answer to the first part first. I'm interested to know, how would you handle a complaint and what process you put in place to prevent it from happening again?
How would I handle a complaint? Well, it depends on the severity of the complaint. I'd like to get both sides of the story. So first thing, I'd ring the franchisee first, and then I ring the customer and try and find a solution to the issue and make sure the customer is left 100% satisfied. Whether it might be to get that franchisee to fix the issue, or if not, I'd get another franchisee to fix the problem and then invoice the franchisee that created the problem.
It's important to recognise, Eric, that not all complaints are fair. I would probably delete at least a dozen complaints or bad surveys a day. When somebody's done the right thing, it's quite astonishing. Some clients can be so dense. You can ring them several times, you can text them, you can email them, and they write back to say nobody contacted us. And I know that happened because they sent me the evidence. So what do? Sometimes there's a saying the customer's always right. Well, they're not.
Yep. So my second part, Haydar, is I've actually received a complaint about yourself. And that's that you refuse to make your wife coffees at work. So how are you going to remedy this?
Well, firstly, that's news to me. I wouldn't refuse.
Just never offered.
I prefer her coffees. She makes better coffees than I do.
It's a very good answer, Haydar.
And that's why she
especially when you're sitting in the front row.
Thanks, Eric.
If you want to see how Jim actually handles complaints, you do a bit of it in your day in the life. You actually talk about how you do it and all that sort of stuff. So if you actually want to see how Jim does it, you can watch the day in the life video on YouTube and Facebook, and Jim runs through it. Okay, let's do another question here. There's a lot of people tuning in online, so I'll just run through some shout outs for people, which is from Magdi Soriel saying, go Haydar. Shane Charntram's going, well done Haydar. I too have started a program with a personal trainer. So it's great to hear. Kim McGavick's gone, hi from Jim's Dog Wash in NZ. We love our dog wash, always tune in every week. Rachel Mounter says, good luck, Haydar. Linda Hadley and Sharon Connell have tuned in saying, well done, Haydar, and good luck and good stuff. So that's awesome, and thanks for watching. So let's get to another question here. And this will be from Jason. Where is Jason? Jason at the back from Blind Cleaning and Repairs.
Yes, thank you. Jim, just hoping you can clear up just online job inquiries. For myself, specifically, I do blind repairs and cleaning for indoors. We just don't do outdoors. I find that I'm still getting leads. Would there be any way to fine-tune the system to eliminate those services that we don't do?
Is there only one service code?
No.
Is there two service codes?
There's two service codes.
So what happens? You go indoor and
Yeah.
only, and somebody actually books in. Well, that's the problem with the. Is that because this is online? Is it?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Help? I don't know. If somebody says blinds indoor, and somebody who wants outdoor blinds puts down, what can you do about it? All you've got to do is to find out as quickly as possible, get back to the call centre and get it reallocated. What else can you do?
Okay.
I mean, actually, online leads are a problem. You know, people. It's amazing how many people don't know their own phone numbers. You know, when you get problems with phone numbers, it's 99%. It's probably putting their own phone number in, and they get it wrong again and again. So it's difficult to do that. I mean, online leads are always they're not as good as phone leads. We know that. It's something you have to actually get on very fast because they often book multiple people online. So you have to respond blindingly fast if you're going to get the job. If you do that, they're not too bad. But you do have issues with wrong service codes, wrong phone numbers. They're more likely with online. Yeah.
Thanks for that question, Jason. It was a good one. So we'll get to another one straight away here. So where's Matthew? Matthew's at the back as well. Cleaning repairs.
It's probably another online question thing. I started 7 months ago, but I'm just struggling with the online thing as well, that I receive a lot of quotes online that they're just looking for a price, but our online system doesn't actually mention at the start that they're not going to get a price at the end. I'm just going to give you an example of a lady called me a couple of weeks ago. I was just online, just filling up the form. I'm just going to clean my blinds myself, but I just want to get a quote. So I was like, I couldn't even answer, and she said to me, it doesn't mention, I just want to get a price in the online system. So how can we fix this problem? Just getting a price that they can say, one of our franchisees will call or something like that.
Well, it's difficult. We don't like giving prices before we see somebody because our prices tend to be high. If they're looking for a cheap price, we're not likely to win it, are we? Because that's not what the kind of business we're about. And we tell it all the time. So really, you want somebody who's... I don't know how you can fix that.
We are working on some.
There
Joel's
is a new
working
booking
on.
form.
Yeah, so what we've done, the guys would have seen a sneak peek of it, but we are working on a new customer booking form. Then actually at the end, we get that feedback all the time when I see it saying, I just wanted an online price. So what the plan is to do is to basically, when someone does do a request to quote, actually a video of this man here pops up and tells them what to expect. It actually says, thank you for requesting an online quote. They're going to have to talk, gives them a bit of, tells them what's going to happen next, right? We need to give you they're going to call you within 2 hours. They need to come out. We don't give quotes over the phone for this reason. In a minute video at the end of the job, and we hope that's some way that can counteract that sort of situation by progressively educating the customer after they book. So we're hoping to do that, and they'll be out by the end of the year with the new booking form. And probably touching on before, we're actually going to have an information icon next to all the service codes. So at the moment, the online booking form, they have a service code and then they just select it, right? So what we're going to have is we're going to have the service code plus an information icon. So within that information icon, they can click that and we'll tell them about the job. And the next level to that is you can actually put a link to YouTube or a video and embed it. So it might even explain a bit about the service. Mm-hmm. So that's good. We're trying to just educate the customer as much as possible before that lead comes to you, so they're pre-qualified in some sort of way. That even post-booking, they know what to expect. And we think they'll rise standards and build the brand and all that sort of stuff. So that's in the works, and they'll be by the end of the year. We hope to have that live.
Yeah, a couple of feedbacks from customers says it doesn't mention anything. For example, for us, we don't clean the blinds on site. It doesn't say anything on your website.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You don't clean on site. That's another complaint from the customers. As the price, it doesn't say that it's not going to give us the price. So it's not saying that you don't clean on site. So they want more explanation.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So the plan for that is what the question was about more information from the customer. That's what they want. So we're hoping we just having the information icon next to them. In regards to they click on that and actually do read it or watch the video. In regards to the front end, like web pages and stuff, you can maybe put some more stuff on the front end about what to expect in regards to a service, and hopefully when they book, they do counteract that. But it's great hearing that feedback because it sort of reinforces what we're doing to try and provide more information to the customer, especially online, to get those quality of leads online. Because we hear all the time online leads are worse than the phone ones.
What do you estimate the conversion of online leads would be to jobs?
Well, I can say the last 8 jobs that online that I got, because they were just after a price, Probably like, I was expecting like 50% that I can convert, but probably like 1 or 2 just comes back to me and then say, oh, I want to go ahead.
Is that normal for online leads?
Pardon?
Is that normal for online leads for blind cleaning?
Yeah.
Because I know that it's not as good, but we've done some estimates. It's something like 75% phone leads and 55% online leads is an average across it. But your division may do worse because of the pricing issue. But you know, I don't know. How do you get across the fact that we're not a cheap service? Maybe the information thing would help. I don't know.
As you said, normally if I get an online quote, I don't normally give price. I'm like, it's free quotation. Let me, I'm happy to come out and then give you a price. But they keep pushing. No, I just want a price. I don't want you to come and then give me a price. Please can you give me a price on the phone? That's our issue. That's why we can't convert them easily. Because they actually want to know the price before
Can you give them an estimate?
Up and down, even if you give the price up and down, that's the problem. You can't convert, they just want a price.
I know car cleaning has a system where you put prices up, doesn't it? Don't
Yes,
you?
yeah.
Is,
So
is
we
that
have
is that worth thinking about from the point of view of blind
So we
cleaning?
have from prices, but perhaps it's something that we can discuss.
We can do a
Yeah.
brainstorming and
Yeah.
look into that.
Thanks for that question, Matthew, and thanks for the follow-up. That's really good. It's really important. Hopefully we can tackle that as well in some way and make them come up a bit better for you. But it is a big problem. Customers do expect the online via DMs and that sort of stuff, but that's a really good question and points. Thank you. So I'll get to a few people commenting online. So Michael Edwards, Ali's a great support. So Michael Edwards is under your banner.
Thanks,
Ethan
Michael.
Holt's tuned in. And we've got a few franchisors tuning in, leaving comments. So John Formosa says roving gym. So we are out on the road for once. We always said that. Jason Pollock, Scott Mounts is tuned in. He's a cleaning franchisor. Rob Ellis, Sandra Robertson from Bendigo, and Jason Pollock saying, well done, Haydar, on your achievement, who's a pool care franchisor. Okay, so let's get to another question here. So where is Louis?
Okay, so this question is for all three of you, Jim, Ali and Haydar. What are the 3 most important things that you consider with success? Whether it be life or business or whatever, just the 3 most important things.
It's a hard
I can
question.
tell you one. Anything you do, you're going to have ups and downs. And business is definitely no different. Just keep punching, you know. Everyone knows that's my motto. When it's down, just keep punching. There'll be a time when you'll come back up. And then you just keep punching again. And then you just ride that wave. And over a period, you'll achieve success.
I think taking ownership is important with anything that you do. Make sure you take ownership, and there's always things that you can improve and learn. There's new tools, new chemicals, new technology that's always available. But if you stay on top of that and take ownership of your business, I think that will really improve things as well.
I'd second that one for sure. The idea that you're relentlessly self-critical. When I talk to Haydar, even though he's incredibly successful, he's always got all these ideas about how he can do better. And I'm listening to him and I think, wow, this is fantastic. I learned so much from him just having conversations. And vice versa too. We're always learning from each other. He's a successful man, but he's a very humble man too. In a sense, he's always willing to listen to everything, always willing to learn. That's a classic leader. And the other thing too, which is exemplified very well by these guys, is that you have a passion for service. If your focus is on money, you may make more money in the short term, but in the long run you'll tend to fail. If your focus is on service to clients, and in our case as franchisors to franchisees, you will tend to do a lot better. And it's got to be the emotion. It's this big thing they're talking about with companies these days. What is the obligation of a company? Is it just to make money for shareholders, or does it have obligations to the wider groups like staff and customers? I totally agree that it shouldn't just be shareholders only. Because if your mind is set more money, you'll do stupid things like what Retail Food Group has done, which is basically screw their franchisees for money in so many different ways and destroyed the brands at the same time, but too much focus.
Thanks for that question, Roy. It's a great one. So we've got a few people tuning in. That's David Pollard tuning in from Rome. So he's first one in Rome. We've had Cyprus with you, obviously. We've got Rome, we've had Fiji, and Josh is tuning in from Tasmania as a franchisors. All right, let's get to another question here. So where's Peter Pan? who's a franchisor for cleaning, and quite well known within the group.
Doesn't look at all like Peter Pan from the movie. He's a bit bigger.
This question is for Haydar. I believe there's a top 10 award coming up shortly in Sydney that you may be awarded. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, I think we were approached by a top 10 franchise
Awards?
Were we approached?
Yes.
Or we approached them?
Both. That they approached us and we've...
Well, it's either them or us.
They approached us, but we've actually followed through.
Okay. So we've entered into this top 10 franchise awards, and we've got the data here where the levels of franchisee happiness and brand awareness, and we're measured against many other franchises, and it looks like we're more than the others. And on next week sometime, Tuesday, we're going to Sydney for the awards ceremony, and we think we're going to win a few of the prizes there, and that's really exciting for us. It's not only the Jim's Cleaning Group, it's the Jim's Group as a whole, brand recognition, pretty good stuff.
So the categories of awards were support, brand and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Do you maybe want to read through a few statistics there, Ali, you've got? So we've done a video on this today, which we're going to release, but...
So we do internal, as you know, we do internal surveys with our franchisees every year, but this is external party where we had no control over the questions that we're asking. But the three main categories were involved was lifestyle, the brand, and the overall support. And in most categories with support, we were about 15 points ahead of the other franchise systems average.
Which ones were they looking at? Who's the comparisons?
So the first one is Jim's Cleaning Group, compared to, that's the industry standards. So in every single question, in every single part of the survey...
You know which franchise systems they were comparing you against?
Yes, there's
pretty
a
well
list
known
here.
brands there, yeah.
So the Coffee Club, Starbucks, Sinewave,
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
Wow, that's pretty
AZ.
amazing.
Yeah.
Which actually, when you consider the challenge we've got, that we've got so many franchisees producing very little income per franchisee, to be able to outcompete those guys is very impressive.
The biggest win was the brand, where we had almost a perfect score of 92 out of 100, compared to 77 which was everyone else's average.
And the impressive thing about it is actually the number of franchisees, because the other systems there might have 50 or 30 or 100, but you've got more than 800, right? So
That's right.
Those numbers where you're exceeding by 10 to 15 points in each category is more statistically confident just because of the size of the sample, right?
So how do we go in terms of support? How do we compare with support?
I think that was one of the first ones.
Jim's big on support, he'd be interested in this.
So the first question was, I trust my franchisor.
Wow, okay.
So we had 85 compared to 73, which was the industry standard. My franchisor communicates clearly with me was 86. In my franchise system, I feel like I'm part of the team, and again, that was 80 compared to 69, which was the industry standard. So I can email you this, Jim, but...
given the opportunity for input on how my system works, we beat them.
Yes.
My franchise fees are value for money, which we beat them too, and my franchisor provides ongoing financial guidance. That is very impressive, because as I said, you're on a Starbucks. Each Starbucks outlet is given a huge amount of money by comparison. If we can actually beat the industry on a service franchise, no wonder we're beating the field.
So we've done a video of this,
great.
and we're actually going to post what we're talking
data.
about now, the actual
We've got to
data.
win the awards first.
I'd love to know,
You'll have
are
to
they going to
know.
give us figures about how everybody else did? I'd like
Yes.
to know how
I'm sure
individual
they will.
competitors did. Are there any service franchises in this apart from Jim's?
Yes.
A lot of them is retail, but
Isn't there like VIP or something?
I don't think VIP's in there.
Gutterback is there.
Anytime Fitness.
So looking at the paper, there's a lot of well-known brands on there, as you can see, ANZ, ASICS,
Snap-on.
Lion. Snap-on Fitness is a big one, so there's a few ones there.
Wow, that's very
And that's
impressive.
on next, we find out
Some
when's
big
that?
brands.
We find out next week, that one?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, so please let us know how you're going. We'll post it and hopefully win awards in all three categories. So I just think the sheer number, right? 800, that sample size, right? It's a massive sample size. To get those numbers is very impressive and well done. And we'll release that data in the video as well, explain that a bit
That's
more.
just what we do, mate. That's what we do.
So we'll move along here. So we'll get to another question here. So where is Eddie? Eddie up the back there.
Hello, Eddie. I didn't recognise you, mate.
Put on a bit of weight, yeah.
I've got a general question. Where do you see the Jim's Cleaning Group in the next 10 years?
Well, we're in Australia and New Zealand at the moment, but one of our goals is to go to UK and Canada as well. Our aim has always been to reach 1,000 franchisees, and we're about 835 as of a couple of days ago. So we're getting very close to that. By hopefully the end of next year we'll reach that. But we don't really have an end target or goal. It's just more about having more happy and more successful franchisees.
Yes, you do. You want to beat Mowing.
Well,
We're going to work
that's
very hard to make sure that doesn't happen because
that's a
Mowing's
given.
That's a short-term goal.
short-term goal. Well, Mowing's got 1,900, so you've got a way to go. And I tell you what, you did pretty well in the year. Last two training sessions, cleaning was not well represented, so
That's so
got
true.
to fix that one.
I think you put the fire up them now, Jim. Don't worry about that. They're coming for you.
That's right. I always needle him, actually. Because usually they win. They've got the most cleaning franchises in training. One time I rang him up and said, "Haydar, you're number 3 this month."
So a lot of people tuning in, so thanks for that one, thanks for that question. And we'll get to a few of the questions on the live feed as we rip through a few more of these. So where's Zainab? Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Sorry, Zainab, sorry.
This one's for you, Jim. If you were to pass, what's going to happen to the business and the franchisees?
I've got a board that would take over. One of my daughters, Jasmine, is a fantastic girl. She's just turned 22. She's bright. She's got incredible ethics. She's great at sales. She's just an amazing. I've just heard in this last week that she'd be very interested in running gyms one day, and I could not think of a better person. My wife would also be involved, though, 20 years' time when I'm split to snuff, she might be a bit past retirement. We've got a guy called Marcus Koch, who's my financial advisor, and he's a great guy. He's a very sincere, committed Christian, tremendous ethics, great business responsibility. He spends about half his time working part-time, working free for a missionary organisation. He's that kind of guy. So I've got some great people. The concern I have very strongly is that gyms not be sold. I do not want to happen what's happened to retail food group brands, where you take it over by some exploitative so-and-so who just wants to rip off the money from the franchisees. And in the short term, you could double. I could double my profits short term, no question, by doing certain things. I don't want that to happen. I want gyms to stay privately owned, under the guardianship of people who really believe in what we believe in. We believe in the welfare of franchisees as our number one aim, and we just look long-term always. You never make a decision now that it's not ethically right, and it's not good for the very long term. I am very confident that it's fantastic news to me that Jasmine is interested in doing this, because she is a really, really wonderful young woman.
Thanks for that question. It's a question we get a few times, but you've got a lot of protection in place.
Well, that's changed. That's just something that's just happened. Just a couple of nights ago, she actually said this to me. And I went, wow, fantastic. Because I've got 10 children, you see, you'd think I'd have one heir, but I reckon I've got one.
I mean, let's talk about your business, but your business is a very family-orientated business as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I've got my brother-in-law as our CEO, my wife involved in our business, my 2 boys who have just seemed to have left, I think. Have they? Yeah, my 2 boys are involved.
But you have a similar hope to Jim, is to build a legacy.
Yes.
Pass it on.
Well, I'm certainly not going anywhere. This is a long-term thing for us. Hopefully, someone within the family can continue our success. Hopefully, one day I could be involved more in the gyms group. I'm happy to be part of that management team or advice team.
We could always use you, but we use you better here probably than...
True. But I think collectively, Jim's Cleaning is obviously not just Jim's Cleaning on its own, it's connected to the gyms group. The good things that come out of there, obviously we'll implement those things into our business. It just works hand in hand.
One of the great things about a divisional structure is that you have leaders who try different things.
Yes.
Cleaning is doing a lot of different things. Every time I talk to Haydar, I'm learning about all the stuff that you're doing, and we copy a lot of stuff that you do.
Yeah.
And there's certain things
Vice
that we do
versa.
that you look at too. So you have someone like Sharon Connell in Dogwash, who was originally cleaning, of course, before we stole Rocky.
Thank you.
But everybody, you have all these really successful people we can learn from each other. Paul Comerford in building inspections, we've got some fantastic divisional leaders.
Definitely.
And we learn from each other.
Thanks for that question. That's a really good one. So we've got a lot of people tuning on the live feed, so welcome, and thanks for leaving comments and questions. We're trying to get to as many as we can. So Eric from the crowd said, "G'day." LaRocca says this is his Wednesday ritual. Well, that's good to hear.
Yes.
And Sandra Robinson's gone, Jim's cleaning group.
Could you think of a better way to spend Wednesday evening? I couldn't.
Please, the Jim's cleaning group are a new, beautiful, caring family for me. Matt Kavanagh is awesome, so I presume that's a franchisee of Matt who is sitting up there from the good seats, the expensive ones up there. All right, so I've got a question about 1,000 franchisees. Who had that question? 1,000 franchisees, sorry. Cool.
Thank you. My question is, when will you hit 1,000 franchises in the cleaning business?
I was hoping the end of 2019.
But most likely by end of 2020.
Well, that's a goal we have written around all the office, right? To keep you.
Yeah, well, what's that? 8:35.
8:35,
and we've got 4 months to go.
We'll be very close to 900 by end of the year, and obviously the aim is should pass 1,000.
Can't we buy a division and blend it in?
Well, you let people know they probably don't know, but you're a quite handy man. I didn't realise how handy you were with all the stuff that you've done around here.
I am. That is my part-time passion. Gardening and a handyman.
So you build
gardening.
decks,
Yeah, I'm a very keen gardener.
I like gardening too. I like cleaning so much.
I need to come and have a look at your farm, actually.
Yeah, come on
We can
sometime.
compare potatoes. Our potatoes are about to come out.
Great, I'll show you my potato patch and all the others. We've got thousands of trees being planted. It's fantastic. Love to have you up there.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing you do notice about cleaning, it's not just about systems and methods, it's also about the culture and the spirit. And one thing about cleaning is it's a very strongly unified division. You get a very high attendance at meetings and conferences. We'd like to do the same thing for mowing. Mowing's been around a lot longer, but it's a lot more staid, and we're really trying to create the same kind of esprit, the kind of family nature that the cleaning division has. It's very striking, actually. You see divisions like that, like in the past, Test and Tag had an incredible feeling of unity. But cleaning is probably the best single example. Or Dog Wash too now has a great sense of unity too. So certain divisions, the ones that are doing well, they got great leaders, but they've also got a sense of being together and caring about each other and working together.
Sure, Sharon from Dog Wash is taking all the cleaning stuff and learning to apply it to Dog Wash, which is what that family
She has
unity
too.
to it. Okay, so John Render's gone for a nice comment here. The beauty of working with Jim and watching is that you're not watching people in suits and laying down the law. It's so friendly and easy to listen to. So we appreciate that, John, and John is from the Mowing division. So we'll get to another question here. So where is Michael? Michael had a question.
Jim, this question for you. Do you still read about history?
You still read about history?
Yeah, all the time. I'm just listening to a talking book on the way here. It's called Dominion, which is about the growth of Christianity from the Roman Empire. I love history. Love history. You like history?
Of course. Everyone loves history.
You've got to read this. This is crazy. I wrote it.
I will, definitely. And Haydar.
Yes, sir.
I think we spoke before about something to improve the commercial brand of Jim's. And we all know that Jim is a very, very good brand.
Yes.
But obviously, I know that you guys have a contract department and you guys doing very, very well. But for us as a franchisees, we can't pick up like a really big projects.
You can. Don't doubt yourself. You certainly can. And you have. You've got yourself a couple of big schools, and we're very proud of you for doing that.
Yep.
But you're right. We've achieved very high success rates in the domestic market, and we must be the leader in Australia percentage-wise. We've got a big piece of the pie. We really need to diversify our spending, our advertising spend, and really concentrate on that commercial work, which is very competitive. If there is 1,000 cleaners in Australia, 990 of them are doing commercial work. So we've sort of come behind the scenes and taken over the domestic market, which is great. The contracts department, as we found out today, has already close to $6 million worth of work, commercial work, in a short space of time, and we're learning from those experiences, and we are going to put our energy into getting the commercial work, and we really need people like you who have already got good bases that we can use to leverage and learn from you, hopefully, and go out and get some more.
Jim brand
commercial work often requires a different approach.
Yes.
Advertising
Yes.
generically through Google and stuff tends to get you a lot of domestic, especially with our brand. Commercial is knocking on doors and asking and following up and doing
going for tenders
and so forth. Yeah, so
which
it's
is very
different.
complex.
I know it's how Johnny King does it, and Johnny King's probably the biggest in the world, but they're solely commercial. They go out and get these major contracts, and they let them out to people.
With Jim brand, I can go to any job I got it. Like, you never fail. Like, everyone knows that Jim is the name you can trust, and the brand is really like wow. And honestly, like, I pick up a lot of jobs, like especially real estate, domestic in general, offices as well. But what I meant is like councils, this kind of stuff. Obviously, I don't have the ability to pick up any job of these ones, as it's maybe like a small business, not really big. But the brand is what I mean. Like, the brand is amazing. Everyone you talk to, Jim, everyone knows who's Jim.
As Haydar says, our strength is overwhelmingly in the domestic, not just for cleaning, but for everything else. We are very well known. We're the kind of brand, someone doesn't know anything about anybody will say, I'll use Jim's to do whatever it is, even things we don't actually do. So they just think about us. But you've got Test and Tag as a division, which is basically a commercial division, which is also very good. In fact, it's number 3 after Mowing and Cleaning. They've got about 180 franchisees. So they do very well in the commercial area. But once again, it's a matter of approaching the businesses direct rather than relying on advertising, word of mouth.
Well, let's maybe, you've run the contracts, obviously, in the space of 2 years, you've taken it from very small now to a massive.
Yeah, when we took over, I think it was about $50,000 to $60,000 turnover per month, and we're probably averaging close to $300,000 a month, if not more.
That's right.
And we still haven't got a salesperson to get that work. We're just relying on referrals and just internal.
It's probably something worth thinking about.
Yeah.
If you can work out a way to fund it.
Yes.
Because I know there's a lot of demand amongst cleaners for commercial work. There's a lot of cleaning franchisees just want commercial work. And it's only a very small portion of our leads. So I reckon, and we've done very well with our sales team in national office in terms of selling franchises. So I think it's probably time we started looking at that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm very impressed with how you tend to get your staff from the call centre. How can I get your sales team to me? Is that possible?
Well, John will help you to recruit sales staff if you like.
Yes.
John Stafford is our sales manager. He will help anybody. If you want advice as a regional on how to sell franchises, just go and ask John.
We will be.
That's part of his role.
Yep.
If you want to recruit somebody.
Certainly.
I mean, I don't want you to pinch any of ours, but there might be somebody who lives in the western suburbs who might prefer to work from Broadmeadows. But I don't mind really. I mean, it's the same to me. We don't make money out of the sales team. We want them to help people to grow. It's the same thing with anything else. So if we can help our franchisees to grow their businesses, help our regionals to grow their franchise base, we'd love to help you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question. That was really good. We haven't had that one before.
Thanks,
and that was
Michael.
awesome. And if you are watching, you need commercial solutions, please use Jim's.
Yes.
Without Haydar advice, I wouldn't be in my place now.
Thanks, Mike.
It's great to hear. Thanks for that. That's awesome.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, let's get to another question. And I know we have one from Mo. Where is Mo?
There he
Mo,
is.
right in the front. Beautiful. No, you can sit down if you want. It's up to us. Yeah.
G'day, Mike. How are you? All right. This question's to Jim. Jim, could we ask the call centre to qualify the leads better?
In what way?
Well, I tend to, and I'm probably speaking on behalf of probably everyone here, who's got their leads on. We get leads from the call centre. Majority of them, I know you've answered this just previously with the online, but it's a similar scenario where how much do you charge per hour? One. too. You know, or you know,
So
I've already found someone else.
What do you want us to do? Somebody's ringing up into the call centre and saying how much per hour. What the call centre should say is somebody will give you a quote.
Yeah,
Well, they wouldn't give an hourly rate.
No, I understand that. But then the customer, when we ring the customer, all they want to know is the hourly rate or like the quote, like over the phone. Like, if they can qualify a little bit
ask
better.
those questions because the customer doesn't know what else to ask. What do you want them to ask you? So they're going to say to you how much per hour, and it's up to you to turn that around and make them feel comfortable that, hey, I'm going to quote you on the job and charge you the same price regardless of how long it takes.
One thing I would say to a customer who asks for an hourly rate is, look, we don't give hourly rates to customers because we find that generates a lot of complaints because a customer never knows how much they're going to spend. The great thing about a fixed price is that you know how much you're going to pay and you know the job's going to be great, because if it's not great, they'll go back and fix it till it is.
Right.
So it's we don't give hourly rates because it's not in your interest, is the way I would put it.
Yeah.
And it's actually true. In fact, I hate people quoting hourly rates. When franchisees give hourly rates to clients, I hate it because I get the complaints that result. And they say, you know, he only worked for so and so long and he didn't get everything done. Well, what do you say to that? Whereas if they said he didn't do the job well, that's entirely clear.
Yeah. And that's even instilled at our training too.
So what would your conversion rate be? From 10 leads, let's say, how many would you convert?
Look, in the beginning, right, it was about 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it? You know, now, like, the leads that I, like me personally, I don't know about everyone else, but me personally, alright, I've literally had to switch my leads like from everywhere, like all areas, to territory. Good. Because the leads, thank you. Right, I've taken that leaf out of your book. You know, work it outside and then work in.
As you get busier, as you just take your territory. What
correct.
frustrates me, people turn themselves off completely.
No.
Always take your territory.
No, territory's always on. Alright, okay. And I found that out the hard way. Okay, because I kept seeing other Jim's cars in my streets, and I'm like, what's going on here? Until I asked my great franchisor here, all right, who I admire and look up to a lot, Bill, all right.
$20 after the session.
No, it's all right. He'll waive the fees. He said to me, no, Mo, leave your leads on, but the territory, like he educated me in that. And then I said, yep, and it's been working. Right. But when it's frustrating when you get, like, say, I did get a lead, like, for example, 66 Grender, and I got one at 11 Grender Drive, like literally down the street. And everyone knows me in my neighbourhood, pretty much. And I didn't get the vacate because cheapest chips were doing it for a ridiculous price. When I say ridiculous price, I'm not going to mention it on here. They offer the bond guarantee and all that's like what we offer, right? So much so that on the day of the vacate, anyway, right? They didn't even rock up, which was great. Do you know what I mean? And I said, mate, you could have called me. But I was booked out. I couldn't go and do the job.
You know what I find funny is that so often I'm looking at complaints and somebody says, shocking job, terrible job, and the franchisee rings up and says, but I didn't do the job, I lost the quote. So they got somebody else who was cheaper and did a lousy job. And that's what you get from not using gyms. Sorry, but that's what you use quality.
I also say, Mo, we actually did one of these with the call centre ladies, which was the managers, who's Beck and Jill. And that was probably a good one to watch maybe, but I also recommend maybe just going in there and having a chat to them personally yourself and maybe tell them from your point of view, and they can tell you from their perspective as well, and you might be able to get a bit more understanding as well. So I recommend next time you're at Jim's HQ, just walk in there and the ladies will be happy to have a chat to you and listen both ways, and probably do that, I reckon.
I don't know how often you get a demand for an hourly rate, but it's a terrible one to get through.
It's very common in cleaning, but
yeah, you just got to sell what we do. We sell customer satisfaction. You can't do that on an hourly rate because you'll never know what you're going to pay. How could it be? Imagine going in and buying a product like buying a house, and then never knowing how much you're going to pay for it. So you think you've paid $500,000, and then you get presented with a bill for $650,000. How would you feel about that? you've got to know what you're going to get, what you're going to pay for. That's the important thing. Now, you might get the house for $450, but who would take that kind of gamble? You have to know what you're paying in advance and know you're getting a good service. And it's better to do that and have a fixed price, even if it's not necessarily the absolute cheapest, because you know you're going to get a great job. And it's guaranteed. Anything goes wrong, if anything happens, you're insured, for example. If you break anything, you're insured, you're covered. You've got a police check. There's so many reasons why we're better. That's what you've got to do. You've got to sell people. When fencing division was being set up and was growing, 10 different reasons to use Jim's fencing. I'll tell you what, price wasn't one of them. There was 10 reasons for using Jim's fencing. None of them included price. And always the reason as to why we can charge more than anybody else.
Thanks for that question, mate. That was really good.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to get through a few comments in the live feed. So we're not ignoring your live feed, but we're trying to get through everyone's questions here from the franchisees and franchisors. And as you can see, this is some great interaction there. It's bringing up some great points for, I'm sure, the boys to consider. So we've got Charles Lowe here. He's gone, can Jim bring out Jim Jams? Like Tim Tams, but it's for a school fundraiser. Do you like your Tim Tams, Jim? I know you like your Nutella, but...
I don't like to eat too much chocolate. I tend to do. I don't look like Haydar, do I?
A lot better now.
He is getting better.
A lot fit now.
He is getting better.
Can't be like that.
I can remember when I first knew this guy. He was as thin as a rake, and as the clean division grew, so did Haydar.
The good life.
We're going to Sal Usenbay tuning in from Turkey. So I know you've just got back
that's
from Turkey.
right. Yeah.
Well.
Hi, Sal.
Sal's tuning in. Okay, we've got Venieri tuning in.
But it's got a lot of Greek blood. He just told me today. He's got 42% Greek as well.
42% Greek, but apparently Cyprus is considered as a Greek country, but it's not. And that's the reasoning behind that.
And Venieri's gone here. Keep going on your morning jogs and walks, Jim. Obviously, you run 5Ks every morning on the treadmill.
Yeah, I do.
And Rocky
All play squash. Anybody wants to come to the national office, wants to play squash, I'd love to play squash with you.
And Rocky...
Yeah, nearby. It's about 5 minutes away. So you're a squash player?
When I was in high school.
Oh, okay. I play with Rachel Mountain, and she's not very good at squash, but she's really fit. She's going to get practice and come back and give me a really good game next time.
And Rocky Aloy's gone, Handyman Melbourne East would be happy to sign Haydar up. So no Handyman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Handyman, I'll have you though.
You'll buy franchise and Handyman, do you?
So Sue's gone here, what book is Jim currently reading? Can Jim prepare a list of good reads for me? I have read all of his now. Which is great to hear.
Wow, there's so many. I've just finished reading a really wonderful book. I love this thing here. Whenever I do it, like it took me over an hour to get here today, and I was listening to this wonderful book called Dominion. I've just finished one called The Social Animal, which is absolutely fantastic book.
What's it about?
It's about people and the way it follows the life history of a couple of people right through their whole lives and talks about all the science of why we're like we are, why we have the values that we do, how we learn things, all about the. It's so difficult to describe, but it's about politics, it's about business, about economics, all looking at the science of human personality. It's really best book of the year, that one, The Social Animal. David Brooks, I think, is great. I tell you what, if you want to email me, jim@jims.net, I will give you a whole stack of my favourite reads. Another one was great called Everybody Lies, which is about looking at the internet and what it can teach us. Internet searches tell us about people, which is fascinating. It's great stuff. I was listening to that one day on Talking Book, and I got so absorbed I missed the turn off to the airport and missed my flight.
Jim's book club.
When I'm running, when I'm driving, when I'm doing all kinds of things, I'm listening to great talking books. I reckon Audible is one of the greatest companies around, part of Amazon, of course.
What are you guys? Are you listening or reading to anything at the moment, or?
A little bit of Gary Vee stuff.
Yeah, good.
Gary Vee is good. Just finished, what do you call it?
Crushing it.
Yeah.
I came into the office one day and I started saying all these things to Joel. He said, "You've been really crushing it, haven't you?"
Yeah, that's what I recommended to you. I've been telling you that for a while, and you're telling me back to like a joy idea. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's good. You listen to it. I appreciate it. And what about you, Ali? You listen to anything reading?
I'm not really into listening to books, so a bit of old school. I prefer to read the actual book, but I'm currently reading an international bestseller, Think Fast and Slow. It's just it's all about how to make decisions, and it's a great book, which I'll email you the details.
Oh, great! That's awesome. Okay, we've got Nigel from Jim's Car Detailing going, great work, Ali and Haydar. I'm glad to be part of the team. As one of the regional franchisors here in South Australia, your assistance over the years has been fantastic, and I'm excited about the future of our group.
Thanks, Nigel.
And that's awesome. He's got a follow-up question here. He's gone, hey guys, this road trip seems to be working well. How about one here in South Australia? I think getting you here was tough enough, wasn't it? One in South Australia, Jim. Not going to do it.
I hate planes. I really, really hate planes.
It's only 7 hours in the car.
That's about
Well,
3
it's an
books.
hour here.
The way you drive, maybe, not the way I drive.
Well, maybe
Maybe we can meet halfway in Border Town or something.
maybe you want to talk about maybe something you can actually tell in the next newsletter about meetings, then maybe about virtual gyms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's going in the next newsletter. I've put out to the franchisees that you want me to come to a meeting. What I find really good is question and answer sessions, like what we do here. People just ask whatever they want. Now, I'm happy to attend any meeting at all, anywhere in the world, from my office.
Skype.
So just like this meeting here, you can ask questions and I'll answer them. You can do it by Skype, so you can talk to me directly, or you can do this kind of thing. We've got a great setup in at our Melbourne office, our national headquarters now. Really good video connections, and I'd love to do that because I find that incredibly useful. It's not only useful for franchisees to hear from me, but it's also very useful for me to hear for me to hear from you. You know what your concerns are, what your problems are. Every week I learn really useful things from franchisees. I have dozens and dozens of franchisees contacting me every week about all kinds of issues. And that really helps me to understand. In fact, it's one of the major parts of my business day, is listening and being in contact with franchisees. That's why it's so important. The biggest problem I have with franchisees, you don't contact me enough. Sometimes I just don't hear about things that are going wrong, or sometimes for weeks after I should. And people are often very hesitant to contact me, and I always say, just do it. Just send me an email, give me a call, whatever. I'm very easy to contact, and I really want to hear from you. And it's extremely useful, not only for you, but often for the business as a whole, for me to hear what you've got to say.
Kim McGarrick has gone, come to NZ, Jim. I don't know if you heard the answer then, Kim, but virtual gym in, and that'll be the way to go.
The trouble is, I find when I used to go interstate, I'd only get to talk to very few franchisees at a time because most wouldn't be at the meeting. You know, you go to Sydney, I mean, such a big place as well as New South Wales, but I can be at any meeting and just talk to any group of franchisees, and you can individually have a lot of attention. There's only 20 in the room. Each one of you can answer this question. I think that the virtual meeting thing is great. And it's also good for the environment too, because, you know, too much planes are really bad for the ozone area and everything else. So let's be environmentally friendly and not fly if we can possibly avoid it.
Well, we did do a big environmental podcast. We did around 2.5 hours of video podcast this week. If you want to check on the YouTube channel, it'll be all about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so. I think I come across as a bit of a green warrior, don't I? not a greenie though, not a greenie. I don't like a lot of their politics. But
well, if you head to the Jim's Group YouTube channel and to our page, you'll see that later in the week. So we've got another question here from the audience. Is it from Farid or Farid? Sorry if I mispronounced that wrong. Regarding up the back there.
Thank you very much.
Now that you've lost it,
yes,
how are you going to keep it off?
I'm going to lose more.
That's
I was telling Joel today I want to lose another 6 if I can. My goal now is 1 kilo per month. So,
which is reasonable, it's sustainable.
Yes. Which means I can have a few little slices of pizza and stuff. Yes, I know, but thank you.
Now, what's the main problem? What was your main vice? Was it the exercise? Was it the bad food? Or what was it for you? Or just not committing time to it?
The problem of how I put the weight on?
Yeah.
Well, initially I had given up cigarettes for 3.5 years, and that was the start of the putting on the weight. So I've taken smoking back up.
You have. Oh, seriously?
Fortunately, yes.
Oh, don't do that, mate. I'm not going to lose you.
Well, I'm going to try and tackle that again.
I mean, I think in a lot of ways people don't recognise what a great service that smokers do, because basically what they're doing is committing suicide, so we don't have to look after them into their old age. But all the same, when it comes to someone like Haydar, I want you to hang around for as long as possible.
Thank you.
We need you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I don't want to lose you for lung cancer or all the other horrible things you're going to get from that disgusting habit.
True. Well, just so you know, the other day I went to pick up Ali up from the airport and I ran out of cigarettes. So I went to buy some more. One packet of cigarettes was $60. Packet of 40 cigarettes was $60.
So we get to another question here. So where is Mike D? Mike on the mic. So Mike, training manager.
I feel like I'm in deep in enemy territory tonight. I'm the only mowing guy here. So, but we talked about stats before and talked about your numbers. I think in 1995 we had 835 franchisees in the mowing division. In which century do you think you might pass?
No, he's changed that question because it said decade originally. Now you put the century right. Here we go.
You know what, Michael? I don't think it's that far away. Seriously. We've got a few minor adjustments that we need to make. If we get it right, with the being together as a big group, I don't think it's about 2 or 3 years away. I really do. We went through a big stage where 3 or 4 years we were selling franchises about $40,000 a pop, and that really slowed us down. And even then, we're selling 200 plus franchises a year. And I think part of the success of the mowing division, you were selling franchises for like $5. Is that right? No, there was a stage. There was a stage when they were really cheap. Well, even now they're like 5 or 10 grand.
Not quite that cheap, but we are actually. Yeah, I prefer to charge a more moderate rate up front and rely on growth and ongoing fees.
We've discovered that, and we're going to challenge it with that.
We're getting increasing problems with finance, we find that. So people can't afford to pay as much upfront as they used to. And I think we've got to get away from that model that we had in the past and to one where we are more affordable upfront. But also using systems like we use Easy Rental for mowing, where they can rent their equipment rather than buy it. And then systems of vendor terms and innovative forms of finance. So we need to look at those kinds of areas. But look, we took over a region in cleaning which had 13 franchises about 3 months ago. It's now close to have
mowing.
A mowing region
Gippsland.
in West Gippsland should have 18 very shortly. So it's possible to grow the mowing division quite fast with the right pricing and with the right sales systems and with the right level of support, because Dean Trelaw is a great franchisor for support.
What about your input on this, Ali? Because obviously you're the CEO and you have the winner's circle as well, and you have all the numbers on the board. So what are the things you're doing from your perspective?
Well, that's pretty much one of the key things that we work on a day-to-day basis, the growth and the numbers. And what we look at is we just need to generate more franchise inquiries and have a better conversion rate. We have franchisors who are converting 15 to 20% compared to 2 or 3%. There's a big differences between some of the franchisors. So that's what we've been working on with Haydar, but we need to perhaps stop sharing our success stories with the mowing group. But we're not far away.
But the nice thing about it is I come and needle these guys about, and I'm trying to get them to lift their game and push harder, because I'm with them too. I want the clean to grow as big as possible. I just want mowing to grow faster.
Oh, I can remember the times when you had beaten mowing and Jim was not happy.
Well, we spent maybe 24 months. We had more franchisees every session, and you know that, Michael.
But the last two,
last two. But prior to that, 24 months of consistently.
Don't you? Let's talk about the present and the future.
All right. Okay.
The future.
The next training.
I want to see that sea of blue and red in training every time.
So do I, and hopefully that will happen.
Well, next training we're aiming at 30 franchisees.
Oh, there you go.
30? How many you got booked in so far?
2. No.
The list is not up to date yet, but there's...
Have we got any funds to fund? We'll buy them.
Hopefully not too far away than mine. Okay, we've got a question from Izzy.
Good question.
And let this one to the last one, because we don't have a podcast on this.
How's it going, guys?
Hey,
my question to everyone there. What makes you guys happy?
Seeing people successful. I get the biggest thrill of my week with any question. I send an email out to my new franchisees, automatic, after the first month, and I get these really great results back. Feedback back. Most of the time it's very positive. People who are saying they just love what they're doing, they love the support they're getting. That really is the high point of my week, no question at all. And people think in terms of numbers, and they think you should be satisfied, proud of the fact that you've got nearly 4,000 franchisees. I don't think about that way at all. I always think in terms of individual people being happy. I've started ringing up people who each milestones, 10, 15, 20, I did 25 years, a guy called Tony Theobald, just this last week. And that was just wonderful to talk to this guy, to see what he'd achieved in his life and how happy he was with the whole thing. That is really the number one.
What about you, Ali?
We've actually discussed this yesterday with Izzy, and exactly the same answer. Seeing positive, happy people, successful franchisees and franchisors is pretty much what makes us happy. There was an email from Jim yesterday, who one of our New Zealand franchisees replied to one of your emails saying how happy she was, and emails like that where new franchisees and existing long-term franchisees seeing how successful they are. I think that really motivates us going in the future.
It's great to see people who can be really successful too. We were in a previous podcast, we were talking about this guy who's 25 years old and he's making what, $300,000 a year.
He's on target of 450 revenue.
450,000. This is a 25-year-old guy, no university education, nothing, making a fortune. Well, I'm proud of this guy too. I mean, when he came to me, he wasn't a wealthy man. He's got this massive house. It's the only building on Earth you can see with the naked eye from Mars. I've never seen it, but it's supposed to be huge. And I'm proud of that too, even though Haydar's done a lot, it's through our system. And there's a lot of people in gyms who are actually multi-millionaires because of us, who've gone on to have really fabulous business. We've had regions sold for multiple millions of dollars. And people who've got investments and they've got financial security. It's fantastic at every level to see that happening.
What about you, Haydar?
Obviously the same thing. Work happiness is that. Obviously family happiness is a different thing. But work happiness is happy franchisees.
It's a wonderful business to be in. It really is.
It certainly is, Jim.
It's very rewarding.
Thank
Look at Dick Smith as a comparison. Dick Smith, I admire him as a businessman, but he builds a business and sells it. Built Dick Smith Electronics, sold it to Woolworths, who destroyed it. Then he bought Australian Geographic, and he's done other things too, and Dick Smith Food and all this kind of stuff too. And look, that's a fair enough model, but to me, Jim's is far more than that. It's a mission.
Yes.
And it's something that I just, actually somebody asked me if I want to sell, and I said, well, everything's got a price, but it had to be like $1 billion, something completely obscene for me to be tempted, because I love gym so much. It's a great lifestyle. It's a very meaningful way to live, and it's a lot more than just making money.
And it's a good podcast where Jim talks about happiness, and so how to be more happy, and it goes a lot more depth as well. You've cited one thing, but obviously there's a lot more stuff with that as well. So if you head to the YouTube channel,
that is in business terms actually. In personal terms, it's got more to do with relationships, things like with my wonderful wife, my family, church community, sense of purpose, my theory, my research to develop these kind of things. There's a lot of things that make life meaningful, but I've always thought it's something that you've got to have some purpose to your life beyond just lots of material possessions and stuff like that, piling up money for the sake of it. There's not much in that. There's not much happiness in that. Doing something worthwhile with your life is what matters.
It's a great question, and what we're going to actually do in the next newsletter is we're actually asking people to tell us how happy they are, what they're doing. So we're actually putting a call to sort of all the franchisees to do a selfie on their phone or with their video and say it's thanks to gyms, and then you complete it on your phone and you send it into video@gyms.net, and we cut them all up as a montage. And we just want to get that out there. So if you're happy with the business, great, tell us about it. It could be lifestyle, I get to pick up my kids from school or whatever. I just want to share everyone's stories as much as we can and get you involved in the content creation. So there'll be the next newsletter about details on that. And
that's actually the biggest thing that I do when I talk to franchisees, especially long-term franchisees, about what they love. The most common thing is I love the fact that I see my kids, that I spend time with my family, that I take my son to sporting events, that I see them after school. I can pick them up and take them to school. These kinds of comments, which is so unusual for men in this day and age, especially men. Women more likely, but that's a great thing to happen. And they say, I'm not necessarily making more money than I was in the past. I'm making similar money, but my family is so much better off.
It's a great one there, and we'll leave that there for the questions so far we've brought for everyone here. And I'm not ignoring you online. I just want to make sure we answered all the franchisees and the franchisors' questions. Anything that I haven't got to tonight, we're going to bank up for next week in the Ask Jim, which will be with Jake and Ben, and it'll be with Jim. And what we're going to do now is we've got 6 books up here. So do you want to throw it over to everyone? Which questions maybe? I've got one I want to give it to, which will be the last one, because I like that question.
Yeah,
it's
it's made a note for Izzy.
Okay, so you've got Izzy, yeah?
And I've got Eddie as well.
Izzy and Eddie, okay. So you can come up at the end and pick your books. What about you, Haydar?
I like Nigel's question, and then the answer was virtual meeting.
Virtual meetings, yeah.
Yeah.
That Jim can do that,
I think that's a great thing. So Nigel.
And what about you, Jim? Do you want to give those ones?
I like the question about happiness. I think that's an incredibly wonderful question to ask.
So that was the one at the end, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was Izzy as well. That's two.
I was going to give a book
too. So we got another 3 books.
I was going to give that as well.
So you're paying, yeah, I said Izzy as well. So we've got 3 there. So what were the 3 other ones? So we can rip through a couple here that I've got. Okay, I'll do real quickly.
Definitely.
I'm going to go Mike Davenport, because Mike Davenport helps us out all the time. So I want to give Mike Davenport.
Who asked about great books? Who asked about great
That was
books?
Sue online. Oh, sorry.
That's my wife.
That was yourself? Great books is a fantastic question. And email me, I'll give you some more. I'll happy to have a book.
Oh, was that your wife? Sorry, online, Sue, was it? Okay. Oh, your wife, sorry. Okay, so Mo. All right, we'll give you the book to take.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, so that was her. Yes. Okay. Yep. But you haven't phone to me. Which book would you like?
She's got them all, but she would love biohistory autograph if possible.
Okay.
I will give her biohistory. Is great.
Done. So everyone doesn't know biohistory.org, and we'll give that one as well. And that's all of them we've given away. So we've got everyone there. Is that 6 we've given?
Anyone want a hat?
And we've got a hat as well we can give away.
$10.
Nice.
I'll give this
hat.
to easy.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll end up there. So thanks to Haydar and Ali. We've been out all day filming a lot of content since 9 a.m. and it's been a long day for you, and we appreciate the hospitality you've shown to Jake, Ben and myself and everyone who's come here as well. And thank you to all the franchisees and franchisors who have rocked up.
Awesome.
I know Jim appreciates obviously having around, and hopefully you hang around a little bit after the end, Jim, so maybe take some questions or whatever. So if you're a franchisee or franchisor that want to ask questions to Jim one-on-one, please take advantage of this whilst he's here and grab him and pull him aside.
In foreign territory, the other side of Melbourne. Yeah.
So keep him out here as long as you can.
First ever visit to Broadmeadows.
Yeah, but thanks a lot to Haydar and Ali and all the Jim's Cleaning family. It truly is a family business, and obviously it's a great part of the team. And we've had a lot of comments online which have been awesome from franchisors and franchisees. Just a testament to you guys and what you've created. So thanks for that. So next week Jake will be in the Ask Jim hot seat. So he'll be the tallest host ever at 6'8". So we're going to have to give Jim some phone books, but he'll be on there next week. So appreciate everyone tuning in. So 7 o'clock next week, Ask Jim Wednesday night, and we appreciate you for watching. And until then, have a great week.
All right.